Good morning, dear students. Welcome to the next online perio theory class. So, today's topic is periodontal pocket. Okay, so before we talk about periodontal pockets, there is this basic mechanism as to how periodontal disease takes place. Okay, that should be very clear in your mind. Okay, so there is this diagram, it's a flow chart given by Conman and it will be there in the PPT. So it states that there are microorganisms in the oral cavity, and these microorganisms will have their own set of weapons, like they will release certain virulence factors, they will release antigens. Okay, so then there are host cells. The host cells are trying to fight against these microorganisms. So in defense, they will release neutrophils, they will release antibodies. So this host and microorganism is fighting. Okay, so what happens, as a result, some of the byproducts from the host or even some of the byproducts from the microorganisms, they tend to affect the connective tissue and the alveolar bone. Okay, so for example, the cytokines, the prostaglandins, the lipopolysaccharide, these are the byproducts that are released either by the host or some of them are even released by the microorganisms, which is eventually causing destruction to your connective tissue and alveolar bone, which will elicit the clinical features of periodontitis, which will eventually show the clinical features the periodontal disease shows. Okay, so I hope this mechanism is clear to you. Basically, it means to say that periodontal disease is not caused only because of the microorganisms. The microorganisms are fighting against the host cells. They are releasing antigens. They are releasing toxic products. The host in return, as part of defense, they are releasing neutrophils, they are releasing antibodies, and in the process of this host microbial interaction, a lot of byproducts are released, like the cytokines, the prostaglandins, the lipopolysaccharides, which will affect the connective tissue and the alveolar bone. Okay, and eventually it will cause bone loss and destruction of the connective tissue. It will lead to periodontitis and it will show the clinical features. Okay, so there is plaque which will cause gingivitis and which will cause periodontitis. Okay, now how do you diagnose, or what are the clinical features of periodontitis? When a patient comes to you into your dental clinic, when will you say that the case is a case of periodontitis? First of all, there has to be bleeding. Okay, bleeding from the gums is very important. Then what else? If there is mobility of the tooth, okay, that is one thing. Okay, if the gingiva is receded to the level that you can see the root portion, recession, that is one finding. Okay, if in the posterior area, the furcation areas, the furcation is visible. Okay, so all these are the clinical features: recession, furcation involvement, pathological migration, periodontal pocket, and bleeding. So what is this periodontal pocket? The definition of periodontal pocket is the easiest definition in Carranza according to me. Periodontal pocket is the pathological deepening of the gingival sulcus. Okay, so for example, there is this small model. Okay, for example, if this is your gingiva, okay, you are probing into the sulcus area. Okay, so normally you should be getting 2 or 3 mm. Okay, if your probe goes to a depth of about 5 or 6 mm, like this, okay, then over there a periodontal pocket is present. Fine. The pathological deepening of the gingival sulcus. In the other areas you are getting only 2 or 3 mm, which means those areas are healthy, that's just gingival sulcus. In the area where there is deepening into the sulcus, pathological deepening into the sulcus, this is called the periodontal pocket. So I hope what is periodontal pocket is clear to you. Okay, so now there is a classification of pockets, and based on the morphology there are 2 types of pockets. Okay, so either if this is the tooth surface and this is a sulcus, either it can be due to the loss of attachment apically here like this, which is a periodontal pocket like what I just told you, or it could be because of the overgrowth of the gingiva, which is a false pocket. Okay, so thus there are gingival pockets and periodontal pockets. Now in periodontal pocket, there are two types which are very important. One is the suprabony pocket and the infrabony pocket. Suprabony pocket and infrabony pocket, this diagram should be clear. This is the tooth surface and this is the alveolar bone. See, I have written alveolar bone. Okay, so this is the alveolar bone. And this base of the sulcus or the pocket is above the level of your alveolar bone. Okay, because this is above the level of your alveolar bone, this is a suprabony pocket. Above the bone, suprabony pocket. Whereas this one over here, if you see, the alveolar bone is at this level, whereas your pocket is extended downwards until here. Okay, so this is an infrabony pocket. The base of the pocket is below the level of your alveolar bone. Okay, so thus it becomes your infrabony pocket. Now the difference between suprabony pocket and infrabony pocket is very important. One, you know, the base of the pocket is coronal in supra, the base of the pocket is apical in infra. Okay. Now bone destruction pattern in suprabony pocket, most of the time it will be horizontal type of bone destruction, whereas in infrabony pocket it will mostly be angular type of bone resorption. Okay. Interproximally, the transeptal fibers, I have not drawn the PDL fibers here. In my PPT, in the diagram you can understand. Interproximally, transeptal fibers are oblique when it comes to infrabony pocket, and transeptal fibers are horizontal when it comes to suprabony pocket. Okay, so I hope infrabony pocket and suprabony pocket are clear to you. The level of pocket above the level of alveolar bone, suprabony. Below the level of alveolar bone, infrabony. Okay, now based on the number of surfaces, I kind of dislodged many teeth from the model in any which ways. So based on the amount of surfaces in which the pocket is present, if the pocket is present only on the facial side, like simple pocket, if the pocket is involved in multiple areas around the tooth, compound pocket, and three-dimensionally, then it becomes complex pocket. Okay, simple, compound, complex pocket, gingival pocket, periodontal pocket. In periodontal pocket, you have suprabony pocket and infrabony pocket. Okay. Now next is, what are the symptoms that the patient will come to you with? If the patient is saying that he is having dull pain in the jaw, or he is feeling that there is some kind of food impingement and he feels like sucking the material out from there, or a kind of foul taste, sensitivity to heat or cold, all these are the symptoms of periodontal pocket. Okay, so I hope till here everything is clear to you. Next, coming to the etiology and pathogenesis of pocket formation. Like I told you, the main etiological factor has to be dental plaque. Okay, and now this deepening of the sulcus, it can either be because of the movement of gingival margin in the direction of crown, like the gingival enlargement I told you, or it can be because of the migration of the junctional epithelium apically, or it can be a combination of both. Okay, now just to make it easy for you, I will tell you the clinical signs and the histopathological changes that are associated with that particular clinical sign. Okay, for example, if there is bluish reddish gingiva, it is because of circulatory stagnation. Obviously, okay, there will be circulatory stagnation if there is a lot of destruction in that area. The vessels, the permeability of the vessels will be reduced, so there will be circulatory stagnation. Then the clinical sign would be bluish reddish gingiva. Okay, flaccidity will be one clinical sign. The histopathology is because of the destruction of the gingival fibers. Okay, smooth shiny surface is because of atrophy of the epithelium. Epithelial atrophy causes smooth shiny surface. Pitting on pressure, edema, obviously. Okay, in some cases it can be the pocket texture can be pink and firm. It's because of the fibrotic changes which are predominant. Okay, bleeding on probing, bleeding in pocket, it's because of increased vascularity and degeneration of the epithelium. Okay, Pain on probing is because of the ulceration on the inner wall. Pus is because of the suppuration on the inner wall. Okay, so I hope you guys have understood. Before I talk about the histopathology, I should have shown you. Okay, I'll just show it to you over here. Now this is the periodontal pocket. This much you must have understood, no? So there is this epithelial layer and then there is a connective tissue layer. I'll just draw over here. There is, so this is the epithelial layer and this is the connective tissue. Okay, and then here is your alveolar bone. Okay, so the permeability of the epithelial layer is changed. Okay, increased vascular permeability, and that is how you will get bleeding. Okay, ulceration on the inner wall will cause pain, suppuration on the inner wall will cause pus, and if there is increase of fluid in this area, then there will be pitting on pressure because of edema. Okay, so I hope these things are clear to you. Next are the next is the histopathology in detail in each area of the pocket. Okay, so one is the initial changes. Initial changes, I told you, there is gingivitis progresses from initial, early to established, and from there then it further progresses to periodontal disease. So when there is periodontal disease, what are the changes that you will see in the epithelial surface? What are the changes that you will see in the connective tissue surface? Okay, that is what will be discussed now. In the epithelial surface, the junctional epithelium is much shorter. There is increase in leukocytes, ulceration of the lateral wall. Okay, these are the key points that I am going to discuss today because they are even easy to remember. Even when you are writing the answer, it's easier this way. So the changes that are seen in the epithelial surface will be junctional epithelium is shorter, increase in leukocytes, ulceration of the lateral wall. Okay, what are the changes in the connective tissue area? In the connective tissue area, there is plasma cell predominance, increase in the level of motile organisms, and varying degree of degeneration and proliferation of the cells. Okay, so those are the changes in the soft tissue wall, in the epithelium and in the connective tissue. Next is the microtopography of the gingival wall of the pocket. So that's the heading, microtopography of the gingival wall of the pocket, which means that under the microscope, if you see this area, how does it look? Okay, so when I used to take theory class, which was 6 months back, not this virtual one, the real one, I used to give the example of Bahubali ka fight scene, like, in that war field. So there will be some areas in which the opponents are increased, some areas in which the host is increased, some areas of intense fighting, some areas where nothing is going on, and some areas where dead bodies are there. Okay, so coming back, in periodontal pocket, microtopography of the gingival wall of the pocket is area of bacterial accumulation, this enemy, area of bacterial accumulation, area of emergence of leukocytes, area of leukocyte bacterial intense interaction, then there is area of relative quiescence, and there is area of hemorrhage. Okay, so these are the microtopography of the gingival wall of the pocket. Next, coming to pocket contents, what all will be there in the pocket? Pocket is obviously pathological deepening of the sulcus, so there will be debris, there will be plaque, leukocytes, food remnants, gingival fluid, desquamated epithelial cells. All the bad things are there inside the pocket. Okay, so those are the pocket contents. Next are the root surface changes. This pocket, so this is the root surface, right? So on the root surface also you will find certain changes. Ultrastructurally, you can see there are areas of increased mineralization somewhere, there are increased areas of demineralization in some places, cytotoxic changes, chemical changes, physical changes. Okay. Next important heading is morphology of the tooth wall. Okay, so on the tooth side, okay, you will have cementum, which is covered by this calculus. Then there is plaque that is attached, then there is unattached plaque, then there is a zone of junctional attachment of junctional epithelium to the tooth, and then there is a zone in which there is lysed connective tissue fibers. Okay, so I'll tell you the zones once again. Cementum, that is covered by calculus. obviously there will be calculus over here. Over here there is calculus. Okay, so there is cemental layer which is covered by the calculus. Then there is attached plaque, there is unattached plaque, then there is a junctional epithelium which is connecting, and then there is a zone of semi-destroyed connective tissue fibers. So that was the morphology of the tooth wall of the pocket. Another very important point that has to be understood is that periodontal pocket is not an area or not a condition in which there is only destruction. Okay, as and when there is increased destruction, there is increased host response against these destructive organisms. Okay, so there are destructive changes like exudate, degeneration, inflammation. Okay, at the same time the host is also trying to protect these structures. Okay, so there's formation of blood vessels, there's repair of damaged tissue, and it tries to get more fibrotic. So a balance between the destructive changes and the constructive changes determines the clinical features of periodontal pocket. Okay, so it is constructive changes and destructive changes. Wherever the balance is tilted more, that will show the clinical features of periodontal pocket. Now, how will you diagnose a periodontal pocket? One example is by using, this is the Williams periodontal probe. I don't know how clear the markings are for you in this video. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 6 is not there. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So Williams periodontal probe can be used like how I had shown before. Okay. You have to just probe like how you would probe the normal sulcus. But in some area, if you see that the probe is going deeper beyond 3 mm, like see over here, it has gone up to 10 mm. Okay. So that is how you will diagnose with the help of probes. Okay, next coming to the treatment of periodontal pocket. How would you treat periodontal pocket? Scaling, root planing. Then if it is still persistent, you would do flap surgeries. And periodontal pocket is obviously also because there is loss of alveolar bone. Okay, so you can go for regenerative methods or you could go for resective methods. Flap surgeries will help you to treat the periodontal pocket. Okay, so I think I'll just once again quickly revise everything that I had taken today. Okay, first of all, you have to understand the mechanism of periodontal disease. Okay, it is not only because of microorganisms. There are microorganisms that are present. They will release toxic products. The host is trying to show its first line of defense cells and is trying to fight back. In the process, there are certain toxic products that are released predominantly by the host. Some of them are even released by the microorganisms, which will eventually affect your connective tissue and your alveolar bone. There will be bone loss, there will be changes in the connective tissue. Eventually, it will show the clinical signs, clinical features of periodontitis. Okay, so what are the clinical features of periodontitis? Clinical features of periodontitis is recession, furcation involvement, mobility, bleeding, periodontal pocket. Okay, now periodontal pocket, the definition is very simple. It is a pathological deepening of the gingival sulcus. Okay, now periodontal pocket can either be because the gingiva has overgrown or it can be because of the apical migration of the junctional epithelium. If it's because the gingiva has overgrown, it becomes a gingival pocket. If it is because of periodontal disease and there is apical migration of the junctional epithelium, then it is a periodontal pocket. Now in periodontal pocket there is suprabony pocket and infrabony pocket. Suprabony above the level of alveolar bone. Okay, mostly the type of bone loss will be horizontal. The transeptal fibers also will be horizontal, whereas over here in infrabony you will find that it is below the level of the alveolar bone. Pattern of bone destruction is mostly vertical. Interproximally transeptal fibers are oblique. Okay, facial and lingual surface shows angular pattern of PDL fibers. Okay. Next, according to the number of surfaces involved, it can be simple, compound or complex pocket. The symptoms that the patient will say is localized pain or radiating pain into the jaw, tendency to suck material, foul taste, sensitivity to hot or cold in a particular area. Next, coming to the etiology and pathogenesis, the main etiological factor is dental plaque. Okay, and in pathogenesis, first you have to know as to what histopathological changes is eliciting which clinical sign. Okay, so that in the PPT is given very clearly. I will once again repeat it for you. Circulatory stagnation will cause bluish red gingiva. Destruction of the gingival fibers cause flaccidity. Atrophy of the epithelium shows smooth shiny surface. If edema is present, there will be pitting on pressure. If it is increase of fibrotic changes, then it becomes firm. Increased vascular degeneration causes bleeding on probing. If there is ulceration in the pocket wall, then it shows pain, and if there is suppuration, it shows pus. Okay, so those are the correlative clinical signs and histopathological changes. Okay, now step by step, if you have to go, what are the initial changes that you will see from initial early established? It is reached gingivitis, it is reached periodontitis. Okay, so there will be changes in the connective tissue, there will be changes in the epithelium. In the epithelium, there will be junctional epithelium is shorter, increase in leukocytes, ulceration of the lateral wall, whereas in the connective tissue you will see that there are increased motile organisms, there is plasma cell predominance, varying degree of degeneration of the fibers that are present there. Okay. Next is the microtopography of the gingival wall of the pocket, which I told you is like a war field. Areas of bacterial accumulation, area of leukocyte emergence, area of intense interaction, area of hemorrhage, area of relative quiescence. Okay, all these are the different areas that you will see. Pocket contents, again very simple, debris will be there, plaque will be there, leukocytes, food remnants, gingival fluid, microorganisms, all these are the contents of the pocket. Next, coming to the root surface changes, there are presence of pathological granules, okay, area of mineralization, demineralization, cytotoxic changes, chemical changes, physical changes. Next, coming to the morphology of the tooth wall. On the tooth side, you will see that there is cementum which is covered by the calculus. Beyond that, further below, you will have attached plaque, then there is unattached plaque, then there is attachment of junctional epithelium, and then there is semi-lysed connective tissue fibers. Periodontal pocket is a healing lesion. There is destructive changes and constructive changes, and the balance between them will show the clinical signs. Okay, you would diagnose it with the help of periodontal probes. Different generations of probes can be used to diagnose periodontal pocket, and you would treat it by scaling, root planing, and flap surgical procedures, regenerative or resective procedures. And yeah, so that was about periodontal pocket. Now you have to read Carranza. You have to read Carranza to check out the points that I might have missed in this video. I have tried to cover everything that is important, and periodontal pocket is one of the most important long essay question that comes in your paper. Okay, so you have to read Carranza, you have to check the PPT, you have to tell me your comments in this below. Okay. Okay, bye.